the minority in Parliament Monday insisted due diligence be conducted on a rural electrification project which was contracted to Smarttys company to execute.
Even though the majority said value for money was ensured, the minority raised eyebrows in the mere mention of Smarttys.
The first phase of a $92 million commercial contract between Government of Ghana and China Hunan Construction Engineering Group Corporation was laid in Parliament in February 2016. The contract is to supply and erect electrical materials and equipment for 556 communities in the eastern, Volta and northern regions. The minority expressed concern about value for money, but the majority said due diligence had been done.
If the government negotiated had done serious work, by the time it got to crowd agents, we would have seen very minimal differentiation.
Deputy Minister of Power John Jinapo insisted the renegotiation of the unit cost of materials for the project has saved the country some $9 million. This, he said, was after a value for money assessment conducted by Crown Agents Ghana. He said the cost savings of $9 million would be used to cover additional communities under the project. But the minority felt more savings could have been done.
It's a case of one overpricing, and there's a potential overpricing here. It's a potential. The House should be informed, so when we are taking the decision, we are aware. That is my disappointment.
Speaker, we spent almost 2 years negotiating this very contract. So, Speaker, the negotiating team spent almost 2 years looking at the value for money order done. So, Speaker, the amount of 22.7 million initially was arrived.
It also came to light Smarttys company had been contracted to execute the project, but this raised several eyebrows considering the BAS branding saga.
If the World Bank finds out that a contractor in Ghana called Matopoko Prempe has abused the procurement process in Ghana, that contractor is banned for World Bank projects all over the world for 5 years. When Ghana government's money, Ghana government money, somebody has overbilled by 3.6, 1.9 billion, and the government's attorney general says that the person should refund. Government still goes ahead and gives this person such gargantuan overbilling contract. That same person, who is the local supplier, has been found once again overbilling.
Honorable Mr. Speaker, today, if fuel price is, let's say, 110 cedis per gallon, and as at the time that the negotiation is going on, fuel price reduces. Mr. Speaker, it will affect the contract sum. That is not to say that the contractor intentionally decided to overprice.
Let's now delve more into this matter, and joining me on the phone line is Oseche Mensah Bonsu. He is the minority leader. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Good evening and thank you for having me.
Okay, now why is the minority insisting on due diligence even though the majority is saying value for money was ensured in this project?
It must be understood that if government in bringing agreements to Parliament conducts the due diligence, it is also imperative on the part of Parliament to engage our own consultants. That means doubly check to see whether or not what government has done is right or wrong. Whether indeed we could not make some additional savings. In the other and French democracies, the government conducts their due diligence. The onus is on Parliament as well to also conduct their own due diligence on agreements that come before them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, given the country resources that we have, we often have to rely on what government brings us. And unfortunately, again, it really need to appear as if Crown Agent is having a monopoly over what government does with respect to the conduct of due diligence.
Okay.
And that cannot be good for this country.
Mm.
So in this regard, we were saying that it's important that government open up to have second opinion, or if Parliament could as well also have second opinion instead of just guessing. The reason is, after government contracted crime agents to do what they did, they came up with their own findings. Eventually, they had to engage the contractors, as it were, negotiate the savings. So they first came with 22.7. Then other matters were introduced. They looked at them. It came to 13 million. Then later reviewed downwards to 11. And ultimately, after engaging the contractors, they came to settle, amicable settlement, agreeing on 9 million. Do you think that if a proper due diligence is being conducted, you have then to engage the contractors to agree on which figure is appropriate? That in itself.
Okay, Mr. Sechemensabosu. Now, in the area of public procurement, under what circumstance can a company win 2 contracts?
Can you give me that? I didn't get you well.
I was saying, in the area of public procurement, under what circumstance can a company win 2 contracts?
Full contract or sole contract? I didn't get you well.
In the area of public procurement, this brings to mind the BAS branding deal of Smarttys, and then they're winning this rural electrification project as well. I was asking, under what circumstances is it allowed for them to win 2 contracts?
Well, that's another matter that we brought up. You see, I don't have anything against Smarttys, but then it turns out that they were engaged in some impropriety. And then once we are dealing with it, once it turns out that the company has not sufficiently purged itself, almost concurrently, then we are allowing this. The former involvement was to the tune of about $1 million United States dollars. And today we are awarding them a contract to the tune of about $98 million. And you see, I think that it doesn't stand government in good stead. It's like government is rewarding corruption instead of punishing corruption. And I thought we should, as a nation, be concerned. We should do everything to bring up Ghanaian companies.
Okay.
I'm not saying that a company may never fall foul of any law. But let's refer to what happened to a company like Zoom Lion. When in dealing with the World Bank, they fell foul as far as the conduct of their transaction in Liberia was concerned. The World Bank blacklisted them. And they had to wait until, according to the World Bank, they had sufficiently paid themselves. But here we were, the very week we were dealing with the Smarttys matter, just 4 days after we introduced this in Parliament.
Okay.
That should be the concern.
Okay.
And we should tell government that we are not really positioning government to be dealing with frontally with corruption. That is my concern.
All right. Thank you very much. We have been speaking with Osei Mensah-Bonsu. He is the minority leader, and they've raised concerns in Parliament on the role of Smarttys Productions in the execution of a $98 million rural electrification project. And this comes on the heels of the Metro Mass Transit bus branding, in which Smarttys Productions had been ordered to refund 1.5 million Ghana cedis to the state. And we're trying to get through to John Jinapo, Deputy Minister of Power, to give a reaction to these concerns raised by the minority. Remember, you're watching News 360. You can get interactive with us. That's on Facebook or twitter.com/news on TV3. And joining me on the phone line is John Jinapo. He is the Deputy Minister of Power. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Good evening and thank you.
Now, a lot of concerns have been raised with regard to the Smarttys deal again. First, the Metro Mass branding saga, and now the rural electrification project. Now, what is the specific role of Smarttys in the rural electrification project?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say that the government of Ghana has no contract with Smarttys. Indeed, unlike the earlier deal that you talk about, the branding, the government of Ghana has no contract with Smarttys. the government of Ghana has a contract with Hunan Construction. And Hunan Construction is at liberty to engage any other local counterpart, whether for PR purposes or for any other purpose. The most important thing is that we have a contract with Hunan Construction. More importantly, we have to ensure that there is value for money, to ensure that the contract fits within our overall objectives as a nation, and also to ensure that the taxpayers' money is not shortchanged.
But a Smarttys is not fronting for them.
That cannot be. That cannot be. We don't have a contract with Smarttys. If we had a contract with Smarttys, then you could say that Smarttys is fronting for another company. The contract is with Hunan Construction. And as I said, the most important thing is that we have value for money, there's good job, and we ensure that the job is done within certification. And that is exactly what we are doing. And so for me, there is no issue.
Well, thank you very much. I've been speaking with John Jinapor. He is the Deputy Minister of Power. You're watching News 360.